Aloha everyone, this is the Doorman here, and I'm going to be opening the door for the Week 2 roundups of the Season 6 of EBL. We've had some amazing fights this week. We had the Detroit Lux Rays versus the Carolina Garchomps. We've had the Essex Espions versus the New York Metas. We've had the Texas Tyrannotars versus the Florida Rowlets, and we've had the San Antonio Espers versus the Walter Wingles, and then the final match was the Snowdonian Frostmoths versus the DC Starmies. We're going to be talking about the first fight on the schedule, which is going to be the Detroit Lux Rays versus the Carolina Garchomps. Max, coach of the Detroit Lux Rays, brought Mandibuzz, Groudon, Comfey, Urshifu Single Strike, which I finally was able to remember this week, Credilli, and Malamar. While Newtbox, coach of the Carolina Garchomps, he brought if I cannot stumble over my words, Rayquaza, Lantern, Marshadow, Shuckle, Rotom-Mow, and Melodic. Now, Mandibuzz and Shuckle both hit the field at the same time. Mandibuzz is able to set up a few little bit with Nasty Plot, while Shuckle tries to set up rocks and webs and deal a little bit of damage, but all it really does is it helps Mandibuzz set up more with weak armor, lowering the defense but gaining extra speed. After a little bit, Marshadow tries to come out and try to deal with the Mandibuzz, both going Dynamax, but Mandibuzz outspeeds, and with a +6 from Nasty Plot, just destroys the Marshadow. And as it's going through more and more of Newt's team and stuff like that, is able to eventually get taken down by Rayquaza with extreme speed, and manage to stop the Mandibuzz sweep. Rayquaza does try to save with the bulk up, but then gets Toxic and installed and then taken out by the Comfey, which is just the end for the rest of the battle, which lets Max finish off the battle with a 6-2 in his favor. The next fight we're going to be doing is the Essex Espions versus the New York Metas. Pidge, coach of the Essex Espion, brought Ditto, Mew, Mudsdale, Mimikyu, Zamazenta, Toxtricity, while Max's, coach of the New York Metas, brought Grimmsnarl, Dialga, Galvantula, Gastrodon, Gyarados, and Zacian. We have both the Sword and the Shield Doggo hitting the field this week. It's pretty cool. The first lead of the battle, Mew and Gyarados hit the field. Mew, for the first time, setting up hazards with Spikes, Toxic Spikes, and Stealth Rocks, where Gyarados starts setting up with the Dragon Dance. Mimikyu comes out, hoping to stop the sweep with the Gyarados, which it does by dodging a bounce and taking out the Gyarados, which then Max is like, okay, Mimikyu's out here, I'm going to bring out Dialga. After a little bit, Zamazenta hits the field, and Max is like, okay, I'm going to go big with Dialga to get rid of the Zamazenta, which it does, but it takes massive damage in the meantime. After the Zamazenta goes down, Mudsdale comes out, goes big against the Dialga, taking it out, and then after a little bit of back and forth and stuff like that, the highlight comes next as Gastrodon is out on the field on Max's side. Pidge throws out Ditto, and then also Imposters into Gastrodon. So then we have a Gastrodon versus Gastrodon. Pretty much a Spider-Man meme. They have a little bit of face-off, with Earth Power, Scald. Pidge accidentally tried to use Yawn. I think that was an accident for other. And during the whole two fight they're happening, the Ditto is barely able to outpace the regular Gastrodon, which then, of course, Zacian comes in, deals with the Ditto, Mudsdale comes out, and then the timer ends for that battle, leaving Zacian and Mudsdale only Pokemon left. Maxis still won the fight because he had more HP, but because of kill-death ratio, either side gets a 0 for their KDs for this week. To me, this is also the commish battle of the week because I love how Max is trying to set up, and then Pidge immediately is like Destiny Bond with the Mimikyu, stopping that. Dodging the bounce was very huge, and then at the same time at the end with the Ditto face-off. I think that was just really cool, honestly. So that is why this commissioner battle of the week. The next fight we're going to be talking about is the Texas Tyranitar versus the Florida Rowlets. Myself, I am the coach of the Texas Tyranitar. I brought Eternatus, Galarian Zapdos, Zoroark, Clefable, Toxapex, and Quagsire. While Mike, coach of the Florida Rowlets, Mike the Quick, he brought Urshifu Rapid Strike, Kyogre, Shiinotic, Pelipper, Rotom Freeze, and Seismitoad. Toxapex and Kyogre hit the field first, Mike going for a Thunder to hopefully stop Toxic Spikes from happening, while Toxapex is like, okay, instead of Toxic Spikes, I'm going to go for Toxic, so that way it can't settle with Calm Mind or anything like that. Toxapex managed to live, and then also managed to badly poison the Kyogre, putting it on a timer before Toxapex does go down. A little bit later, Clefable and Pelipper do square off, Clefable trying to set up a Baton Pass with the Minimizes, but Pelipper manages to get rid of the Clefable, which gives Pelipper his first kill in the EBL history. That's just a little extra note I wanted to add. After that, Zorg is able to pull off his disguise against a Shiinotic, but is unfortunate in not getting the kill for it. Eternatus comes out to deal with the Shiinotic, and Shiinotic goes for light screen like Eternatus. And then, after seeing that happen, I decide to go out to the Galarian Zapdos to try to fight around the light screen, getting hit with a Strength Sap, lowering my attack, but then activating the Defiant ability on Galarian Zapdos, making it to where I now have a +1 attack, which does help out after I take out the Shiinotic and the Kyogre after these 2 turns and stuff like that. With Galarian Zapdos Rampage and everything, Mike sends out the Rapid Strike Urshifu, hopefully to deal with it. Kind of forgot about the Dynamax, even though me and Mike were talking about it beforehand, as I decided to make my Galarian Zapdos go Dynamax, taking down the Urshifu, and then letting the Galarian Zapdos just deal with the rest of Mike's team, even though he Dynamaxed the Rotom Freeze, which doesn't really help him in the end. I won that fight with a 6-3 in my favor. Next fight that we have is going to be the San Antonio Espers versus the Walton Wingles. Sly Guy, the coach of the San Antonio Espers, they brought Gothitelle, Zygarde, Magearna, Rillaboom, Weavile, and Blaziken. While Nate Tube, coach of the Walton Wingles, brought Mewtwo, Galarian Articuno, Dubwool, Galarian Rapidash, Lucario, and Klefki. Klefki and Gothitelle both hit the field first, Klefki doing his prank show stuff with the screens and stuff, while Gothitelle is able to keep Klefki in because it has Shadow Tag, and Klefki can't do a lot of damage to it, so I start setting up with the Calm Minds and everything. So because of the Shadow Tag and not being a switch out, Klefki can't do a lot of damage, and Gothitelle setting up, the first little bit takes a little bit, but Gothitelle's able to take down Klefki, and then after a little bit more, Articuno is finally able to take down the Gothitelle afterwards, switching to Mewtwo with U-turn, and then because of Mewtwo, Sly goes out into Magearna. They both Dynamax first turn, dealing big damage to each other, and at the end of the whole Dynamax, they're both still standing. Sly Guy switches out Magearna with Rillaboom because Magearna was able to bring down the defenses on Mewtwo, which then let the Rillaboom Grassy Glide kill it the next turn. After that, Articuno comes out, just one-shots the Rillaboom and everything, which then prompts out Zygarde to come out. After a little bit, Zygarde is able to take down the Articuno when it comes back out, and then for the rest of the battle, Zygarde just takes down the rest of the opponents, leaving the battle for Sly to take victory with a 6-2. And then the last fight that we have is going to be the Snowdonian Frostmoths versus the DC Starmies. Jakey XY, coach of the Snowdonian Frostmoths, brought Primarina, Lugia, Snorlax, Swampert, Dragapult, and Cinderace. While Timmy B, coach of the DC Starmies, brought Solgaleo, Palkia, Archeops, Sylveon, Venusaur, and Mamoswine. Cinderace and Mamoswine hit the field first. Cinderace using Libero U-turn to get out of there and going into Swampert to eat a hit, while Mamoswine uses Earthquake. After a little bit of back and forth with the Cinderace using U-turn and Timmy trying to switch out and stuff, Timmy sends out Palkia to try to deal with the Cinderace. It decides to U-turn straight out of there, goes to Primarina, which is unfortunate because Timmy did predict it, and goes for Thunderbolt, eventually just taking down the Primarina. Dragapult comes out after that to try to deal with the Palkia, and then Timmy is like, okay, I have Ice Shard on Mama, pretty sure I could take a hit, and be able to deal with the Dragapult, do a lot of damage and stuff like that. Jakey sees the Mamoswine, switches out from Cinderace, switches out to Cinderace, my bad, to eat the Ice Shard and taking down the Mamoswine. Palkia comes in after that to try to take care of it again, but of course Swampert gets in the way after Cinderace's U-turns. Lugia then comes up, sets up a Calm Mind, and then goes big and starts setting up even more with Max Airstream, Max Quake, and with his Max Moves and stuff like that. Timmy's able to stall out the Dynamax a little bit, then is able to use Solgaleo to eventually take down Lugia after a little bit of back and forth and going Dynamax. It takes a little bit of back and forth and Solgaleo for going Dynamax for Timmy to take down the Lugia. Jakey is also able on his side to whittle down the Solgaleo a little bit through the Dynamax for Cinderace to take it out with U-turn, which then leaves Timmy with Archeops and then Dragapult on Jakey's side of the field. Dragapult is able to outspeed and then finish Timmy off, giving Jakey the victory of 6-4. I forgot about it saying it for this week, but I can tell you what the fights are going to be for next week. Let me get the schedule here real quick. For week 3, we have the Texas Tyranitar versus the Carolina Garchomps. And then we have the New York Metas versus the Detroit Luxrays. We have the Snowdonian Frostmoths versus the Essex Espions. We have the Florida Rowlets versus the Walton Ringles. And then we have the DC Starmies versus the San Antonio Espers. It's going to be amazing fights on everybody's side. I see a lot of close matches. I really do. And with that, I'll be seeing everybody for week 3 roundups.